Entschuldigung, können wir bezahlen bitte?
Today we're talking about eating out in Germany versus eating out in the United States.
Welcome back, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Alex, and we're two Americans who've been living in Germany for over 10 years, and we're here to help you learn what it's like to live in Germany as Americans.
True story, Alex. But first, go ahead and hit subscribe down below if you can. And also, buy the like button a bottle of Star Wars single malt. He just opened his own restaurant.
Congratulations, like button.
Awesome.
Yes.
Speaking of restaurants, that's what we're going to talk about all day and every day today is what it's like to eat out in a German restaurant versus the USA.
All day and every day today.
All day for the next 10 minutes.
Yes. You might think that going out to eat is a very similar experience all around the world, but you're wrong. It's different.
And in a lot of ways, it's exactly the same. You order food, they bring it. But there's a lot of small ways that, especially if you're an American coming to Germany or from anywhere else, and you're not used to the customs here, it can get a little bit annoying.
Yeah, 100%. There's little nuances that are different. And starting with when you walk into a restaurant, you go out, let's have a date. You go into the restaurant and you want to sit down. Now, in the States, I would say, 80, 90% of the time at a sit-down restaurant, you're going to have a host or hostess bring you to your table and tell you whether it's full or not.
There's always a hostess stand. You walk up, it says wait to be seated, and then they show you which table, because usually they want to sit you in certain places because of
whoever conquers which territory.
Exactly.
And in Germany, it's a bit different, Jeff.
It is. So in Germany, on the reverse, 80, 90% of the time, you just walk in and you take whatever seat you want. Nobody from the staff greets you or tells you where to sit. You just go and you sit down. And yes, there are a few exceptions of places, especially like fancy restaurants where you do go to a hostess or host and they tell you where to sit. But I'd say on the majority, you sit where you want. And especially the first few months I lived in Germany, I was constantly wasting time,
Yes.
like standing near the front door of the restaurant, kind of like, and then finally they'd just say, no, please just sit wherever you want. Like,
because all you want to do is sit down and order your first whiskey.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Oh, that's better. Cheers.
That is yummy.
So let's imagine we've just sat down.
We did.
We've ordered our drinks.
Drinks are ordered.
One thing that we might experience here, which can almost guarantee you won't experience in the US, is, especially if we're eating outside, and sometimes even eating inside.
Depending where you are, that's true.
Is you might now have a thick cloud of cigarette smoke around you as you eat, because especially in Berlin at restaurants, you can smoke on any outdoor tables for sure. And some, depending on how they skirt the kind of the laws, they can still smoke indoors as well.
Yeah, usually in small villages and small little, town restaurants.
Yeah.
But when you're sitting outside, there's always ashtrays on the table. So if you are very anti-smoke or hate the smell of smoke, eating outside, I think in Germany and kind of in Europe generally, might not be the most pleasant experience for you because there will be people smoking around you.
Yeah, and I don't smoke, but after 12 years here, I've gotten used to it. It doesn't bother me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have a right to be angry. You don't want smoke in your face when you're eating, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, to each their own. I guess that's land of the free, Do what you want to do.
Absolutely. And the next, in terms of differences from America to the US. Now in America, if we have sat down here, even if we didn't order it, what will we also have on the table with us?
You get water in the States. You always get water. Every restaurant, you sit down, server comes, gives you two big glass of water with lots of ice, which is so refreshing in the summer. Now in Germany, you're not going to get that. You have to order some water. Yeah. And usually it's a bottle of water, a glass bottle that costs anything between like €1.50 to €4.
I'll say, usually averaging between $3 and $4.50, like rarely on the lower side. They're tiny little bottles.
But if you want, you can ask for a Leitungswasser or a tap water. And some restaurants will say they don't have it, but if you push on it, they will give it to you. Yeah. They do have tap water.
But I would say 80 or 90% of the time that I asked for it, I was not given it. They said we don't do that.
Yeah.
Or we don't have it. But, here it's a very bizarre request for some reason.
I think there's been a bit of a cultural shift. I've noticed in the past year or so, I'm getting more tap water when I ask for it. We should all stay hydrated.
But you have that nice wash down the food liquid for free, just waiting for you when you arrive, which is just quite nice.
It's amazing. Now, what's not so amazing, maybe, depending on your opinion, I personally like it. I don't know how you feel.
Well, I'll wait till you say what it is.
Is The service.
Ooh, yeah.
Big difference between the States and Germany. Like, this is probably the biggest difference you'll find is the service. In the States, it's quick, it's punctual, and the whole goal is to get you in and out as quick as possible so that server can turn over more tables so they can get more tip money.
In the 4 or 5 minutes that we've been talking right now, the waiter would have already come to our table, this table, twice,
Right.
asking you, do you need a refill? How's your meal? How's everything going? They're kind of constantly coming up, which I could see how it can be annoying because part of you's like, can I just eat my meal? Like,
Right.
you know, do you have to keep checking in up on me? We're in the middle of a conversation, you know?
And part of the reason why here in Germany you don't get that as much is that servers get paid more or less livable wage where they're not living off of tips. You tip based on the service. If it's a good service, you round up, might tip €3-4. If it's bad service, maybe you don't tip. I always recommend tipping at least a little bit. So what that means is, you know, if you need an extra beer or some water, you got to flag down your server, which can take anywhere up to 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, I'll be honest. The one thing about the service, I love that they're leaving you alone and leaving to your conversation. But I have often where they'll bring the plate and it's something that I clearly want Zenf with, you know, mustard with. But they're gone, and now it takes me 2-3 minutes to flag them down. And everyone else is starting to eat. I'm waiting for. So if you need things like salt and Zenf or an extra drink, it could take a few minutes for you to like, oh, excuse me. You know?
I think it's less of a faux pas here to just stand up and you see like the server's desk just to grab some mustard and sit back on your table. I've done it a few times. I've seen people do it.
Yeah.
I think it's way less of a faux pas. People don't really care. And a lot of times at restaurants too, you will see a restaurant of 10, 15, 20 tables with only one server. So they're working, a lot of tables. So they're busy. Enjoy it. Relax, sit back. Going to dinner is an event to talk to your friends, talk to your family. It's not there to eat and get out. You can sit there all night if you want, which I think is really nice.
Absolutely. And he just brought up one of the biggest differences, which is the amount of time you're going to spend at a restaurant. In the States, you go, you eat. As you're finishing up, the person's already walking over, giving you the bill without you asking for it. Whereas Germany, when you sit and you eat, just whatever you paid for that meal has now entitled you to that table for the next hour, 2 hours, basically as long as you want to be there. I've never really seen anyone be asked to leave or to pay the check or anything like that. So,
never happened to me.
So here, definitely when it's dinner time, it's all about going out, having conversation, and not feeling rushed, which is nice. But on the other hand, you don't get the personal service that you get in the U.S. Because I do like that they check up on you. Do you want a little extra this, a little extra that? Would you like a refill? Because sometimes you're like, yeah, I would actually,
No, 100%. And that all comes down to your personal preference. I think maybe in Germany more dinner is kind of the event sometimes. And I think in the States, you go to dinner and then you go to an event.
Oh, maybe,
dinner, then a movie.
Right.
Where in Germany, of course, people do that. But dinner can also just be the event. Let's go for dinner tonight. Dinner turns into drinks at that same restaurant without moving.
Right. And also in the U.S., you're not allowed to make dinner the event because you're basically being pushed out the door.
Kind of being shoved out. Very politely.
Yeah. But once you finish eating a meal, there's no way at an American restaurant that you could sit there for another hour without ordering something. They would politely ask you to leave.
Yeah. I was a server once, so I know the hustle and I respect it. I like the German way.
And the next big thing is towards the end of the meal, which is getting the bill. Now, what's the standard way that you get the bill in the U.S.?
You're going to get it whether you ask for it or not. They're going to come and give it to you. You pay, and then you do the math in the head, 20%. I heard it's like 25, 30% now.
No.
I don't know what it is. 20%. No. You do the math, you tip with the card usually, and you're out of there. In Germany, what do you do, Jeff?
Well, in Germany, if you sit there waiting for the bill, you'll wait a long, long time. Basically,
they're not going to assume you want the bill.
No, basically, they will never bring you the bill unless you ask. In Germany, you have to ask for the bill. And trust me, okay, we're done. Okay, I've taken the napkins. I've made the mountain of napkins. You've made it completely clear that you're done. You could still sit there another 30, 40 minutes and they will not.
Or they even clear your table. You're sitting there at an empty table. Yeah. And sometimes they'll ask, but usually you just got to, do a little one of these.
Yeah. Können wir bezahlen bitte? Which means, can we pay, please?
Yeah, gladly. They come over with their little pocketbook full of change and cash, or a little card scanner nowadays. Little pocketbook, little cummerbund, if you will. Germany's figured out you can use cards, so that's pretty cool.
If you're living in Germany or visiting Germany now, you are benefiting from one of the few, can I say, positive consequences of the pandemic because, that obviously ruined a lot of people's lives. So I'm not going to say the pandemic was positive, but if you want to look at this as one tiny positive,
it's like a little thread.
Exactly, is that Germany has switched from cash to cards a lot more. So most restaurants, except for small little places, small little, kind of home places, you pay with a little contactless card. Now, you touched earlier on tipping. Now, obviously, tipping culture is way different in Germany than in the US.
It is. A tip is literally a tip. You have a server, service is great, and your bill was, let's say, 16 euro, you'll give 19, 20. You'll round up. 17, you'll give 20.
Yeah.
If the service is really bad, you can just give 17 if you want, and people aren't really going to get offended. Usually, if you tip a little bit, a euro or two, they say, hey, thanks a lot, and then they move on with their day, and you move on with your day. You don't have to think about, oh my gosh, this sandwich costs 15, but that actually means it's, 20. It's not like that here.
Right. Yeah. The common tip here is, I would say 10% or a little bit less. Like, it's a lot of rounding up, but usually a lot of people I know of lately, they usually do around 10% as a tip. So it's a lot less than the US. As we've noticed, every time you go to the US, it seems like the standard tip is now going up and up and up and up to crazy amounts. Of course, I understand that the pay situation with waiters and waitresses in the US versus Germany is very different. But again, to have to pay 30% tip, I think, is insanity. So I think
it's insane to have a customer pay the wages of your employees.
Yeah. So luckily, at least in Germany, you don't have to do that. So you don't have to struggle too much with the tip. As you said, you round up a little bit, and now you go home after eating your tasty meal.
Got a full belly and a fuller wallet.
Now, I've got a full bladder from this beautiful Star Word. What were you thinking?
I like this a lot. I'm going to give it 8 Yelp stars out of 10 Yelp stars.
Nice. I give it a good old yeehaw.
Okay. So everyone, please stay safe, stay healthy,
and stay thirsty.
Today we're talking about the differences of eating out in Germany versus the USA.
That was my favorite. That was great.
I forgot how to talk.